Come.
Need help?
I need sunflower or Dharma. Lily. Oh, Lily. Ako.
Peace be with you. Good luck.
Just wasting my salves. That's crazy. Hey.
Ishnu Dal Dien. Farewell.
Farewell.
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion.
That's a lot of money.
So from a nominal deficit of 2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to 1 trillion, or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from 7 trillion to 6 trillion. We want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
I'm going to talk to all the guys.
If not making it better.
That's probably true. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I feel like this is probably true with almost any company, especially nowadays with technology. That you probably could cut 15% of the spending from a lot of companies and probably still make the same product. I mean, look what they did with Twitter, right? They cut it by 80% and they still made the same product. And I think it's better now.
Guys hear about the specifics, but for you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing.
Not
we
to
routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually.
Oops.
You know, for example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For doing a survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey, do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
You technically are a special government employee. And
Everybody says he's lying. It's not true. Guys, do you really think that they're not retarded? Of course they are. Of course, absolutely. It goes without saying.
you're supposed to be 130 days. Are
Yeah.
you going to
Probably
continue
worse.
past that, or do you think that's what you're going to do? Or
Well, I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
so in that time frame, 130
Yes.
days, and the process is a report at some point at 100 days, or
Not really a report. We are cutting the waste and fraud in real time. So every day that passes, our goal is to reduce the waste and fraud by $4 billion a day, every day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And so far, we are succeeding.
and I'm going to talk of the specifics, but there obviously are Doge critics who are reading all kinds of stuff. Obviously, lawmakers on the other side of the aisle are attacking you, and they characterize the approach as this: fire, ready, and then aim. And how do you approach that? How do you respond?
People always make arguments for, you know, like a system and like this system needs to be done. The reason why is that the system is created to protect them. They've created an apparatus that basically allows them to never have to make any changes and never be held accountable by anything, because they've created so many different levels of red tape and overlapping government apparatuses that it's almost impossible to dissect all of it. That's what happens. And so you see this, like, how many of you guys have been in a company where there's been like some sort of obfuscation mechanic where there's no way for you to really figure out who's at blame, and the product suffers in the long term because of that? No, I think that's what's happening in the government too, because that's what happens everywhere else. The hogs are mad the trough is getting smaller. Yeah, I think so. Every company I work at, yeah. Accountability becomes adjudicated to an abstract department. Exactly, yeah. And people, like, one thing that people are terrified of is direct personal accountability. And also, the main thing that highly skilled, highly motivated people want is direct personal accountability.
to that?
Well, I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts. So we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that. Which is
Well,
not to say
mistakes happen, right?
that we don't make mistakes. If we
that-
were to approach this
Yeah.
with the standard of making no mistakes at all,
We
that would
wouldn't
be
do
like
anything.
saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's impossible. So when we do
Yeah,
make,
like, I mean, of course. There's people that go to jail all the time because for crimes they didn't commit. All the time this happens. That doesn't mean that we just don't put anybody in jail. Like, every rule and every law is going to have bad outcomes. That's just how it is.
mistakes, we correct them quickly, and we move
That doesn't
on.
mean you can't do it.
Some people say this shouldn't take a rocket scientist. Steve Davis, you are a rocket scientist.
Used to be.
Yeah, and now essentially you're the chief operating officer of Doge. Day-to-day
So this is the
operations.
guy. Is
Fair
this
to say?
Big Balls?
Yeah, part of the Doge team.
So how did you end up here? What's the biggest challenge you see?
The reason I'm here, which is probably for many, is that I think the goal is incredibly inspiring. I think most of the taxpayers in the country would agree that in order to have the country going bankrupt would be a very bad thing, and therefore the country
I
going
would say
not
so.
bankrupt is a
Would be
good thing.
yeah.
That all of us are willing to kind of put our lives on hold in order to do. I think the thing that's special right now is we actually believe there's a chance to succeed.
Well, I feel like, I mean, especially for me, I mean, growing up, like, the government wasting money was like the most common meme in like TV, movies, everything. Like, I don't understand how we can have a culture that's made jokes and just acknowledge that the government wastes money frivolously constantly. And now we're supposed to act like, oh, wait, no, never mind. No, they don't. Yeah, 2 years ago, people were doing that. Yeah, exactly.
There's an administration that's supportive.
It's been known for so long. Yeah, it's
and
obvious.
A great cabinet and just a great group. that will actually make success a possible outcome. And I think that's, given the inspiring mission and given the non-zero chance of success, it was worth doing.
Yeah.
I'd just like to sort of re-emphasize that point. The success of Doge is only possible with President Trump and with the outstanding cabinet that he selected. It would be impossible without the support of the president and the cabinet.
But you're finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah, like Elon said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So, for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey, that's an enormous amount of money. That wouldn't have been found if the Doge team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, Doge then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the
I think you need to go farther. If there is a group of people that are being paid $880 million for doing an online survey, you need to look at who made that call. You need to look at their relationship with the company that was given that contract. And then you need to like order audits of these people's financial tax returns. That's what needs to happen. Because like the moment that you start doing that, I think I know what's going to be on those tax returns. I think I know what it's going to be. I think everybody does. It's not true though. Well, if it's not true, then the audit wouldn't matter, right? It wouldn't. I mean, logically, right? That would be it. So yeah, and their families, exactly. Yes, and people that are in their family and around them too. Yeah, 100%.
General public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into Doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
But the process, it still involves Congress, right? At some level?
They still won't put them in jail. So why does it matter? In my opinion, I think we should put them in jail. Like, this is my opinion, is that if somebody is found to be embezzling money or doing something that's like quid pro quo with the government contracts, I think that they should go directly to jail for like 5 or 10 years. And if they're taking money off the top and there's no justification for it, yeah, because like that's the way that you stop people from doing this. The big problem is that, and you're right, the big problem is that nobody ever faces personal accountability. The moment that personal accountability is applied to individuals is the moment that this immediately goes away. And this is also the reason why it happens, is because, again, these people's actions are obfuscated through like so many different levels of like government apparatus, red tape, that nobody can ever be held accountable or held to a fault for this. And I think that's the problem.
Congress as informed as
possible. Make an example out of them.
But,
yes, exactly.
The law does say that money needs to be spent correctly. It should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud. It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress. And we've seen actually great support, at least from the Republican side of the House, and occasionally some Democrats too. You know, it's nice to see people cross the aisle once in a while. Usually when they attack Doge, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on Doge.gov and the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
Joe Gabbia, besides Elon, you're one of several billionaires here, co-founder of Airbnb, and you wanted to help out.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I love the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this giant cave. Has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as you dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So
This is so fucking retarded. Why would they do that? Yes, I don't know. How is this happening? Oh my God.
Process takes many months, and
It's
we're gonna
not
make
funny?
it just
No.
many days.
Will it be digitized or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think
Wait, what? So they're just gonna feed it through a machine that just automatically transcribes it digitally. And it'll take a few days and that's it. This is crazy.
It's an injustice to civil
Oh my
servants
God.
who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight.
That's
So
like 50.
we really believe
That's
that
bad.
the government can have an Apple Store-like experience. Beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Yeah.
Because right now it's.
Well, I mean, we're not even talking about an Apple Store experience. We're talking about not having an underground mine with pallets full of retirement paperwork. Like, we don't need to go to the Apple Store. How about we just go to the year 2005? Like, you don't need, we don't need to have an Apple Store. Just let's go to 2005. That's all. I think that's reasonable.
Yes, the retirement process is all by paper, literally with people carrying paper in manila envelopes into this gigantic mine.
So they can't retire more than a certain number every month.
Yes.
About 8,000 a month.
That's how we.
So there's a mine that has all of the retirement paperwork in it, which is a problem logistically because only so many people can get into the mine at a time. And so they can't retire everybody that's working at the government because that many. Remember what I was saying before about how like this is a Russian nesting doll of like government apparatuses and red tape? Like this is what I'm talking about. This is something that only a person at the government can imagine. Like a normal person could never even think this up. But a government employee, this is second nature. Well, of course.
The reason we discovered it was we were saying like, well, let's encourage voluntary retirement. They said, well, the most they could do is 8,000 a month, and even under normal circumstances, it can take 6 to 9 months just to have your retirement paperwork processed.
It takes 6 to 9 months to process paperwork. What? In week 46 to 47, what happens? You know, or week 23 to 24, what are you doing in the weeks between 23 and 24 to make this happen? I wonder. This reminds me one time my dad, we went to KFC. My dad and I went to KFC. The year was about 2006, 2007. And the guy, my dad likes the pot pies from KFC. And the employee there told my dad that it would be an 81-minute wait in order for my dad to get his pot pie. Because it would take 81 minutes for them to get the pot pie ready. That's right. My dad did not like this answer. The next moment, you know, we're talking to the manager. The manager gave my dad 5 or 6 free coupons for KFC after that. And he brought my dad out the pot pie in about 6 minutes. Directly to our table. Interesting. That's right. I remember this very clearly. And so the employee get fired? I don't know. And so I've seen this happen in real life. And so when I hear this, I immediately believe it. And I know some people, oh, you shouldn't believe this. They're lying. I don't think they are. I don't. Everything that I know about dumbasses in position.
Video killed the radio star.
Positions of authority and administration. Guess what's happening right now? You're on speaker.
Yeah, that wasn't the only time you witnessed that kind of shit. That is why, part of why you're like you are, because I'm such an asshole.
That's right.
And you get so embarrassed, and you still do. You still get so embarrassed when I jump in somebody's shit and I insist that I see the manager, and then if I don't get it from the manager, I say, okay, fuck you. You give me your boss's name, and I'll be talking to him. And when I had my tranny blow. I think it was a transmission. On my 88 T-Bird, with a 5-liter in it.
Yeah.
And so about I went out and spent like $800 getting it rebuilt.
Yeah.
And so about a month later, I get a letter from Ford, and it's a grommet, a grommet.
Is this the one where you went all the way up to the vice president of Ford?
Yeah, I was in my office at work,
Yeah.
And a grommet, for you guys, just so you know, some of you don't, it's kind of like a washer. It's a fitting that on tubing or pipe.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Because the power the auto transmission the line that has the fluid.
Well, it didn't work, right? It didn't work. That's the point. And so.
Just because it sagged.
Yeah.
It sagged down a little bit. They fucked up, and so I called up Ford, and I said, "What the fuck is this?" I had to already pay, and they said, "If you don't do this, what may happen is," and exactly what happened to my fucking transmission.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, what the fuck?" And for the first, you know how I am about the first couple of people. I said, listen, I know you're hired to be a fleck, and I'm sorry you got a shitty job like this where you got to really take the hits. So, let me help you here by not beating the fuck out of you, but you give me your boss, and I'll beat the fuck out of him. Finally talked to a fucking vice president at Ford, and I said, okay, what the fuck is this? I buy Fords, I'm a Ford guy. And he said, what's your name? And they got my name and that and all. And I got a check in the mail. He said, will you send me the receipt?
Yeah.
I didn't have a receipt because this guy who done it was he has his own garage, fixes up his own cars, and he's kind of informal. So I said, well, we'll just make something out. So it was on like a piece of paper,
Well, this is going off. This is going off the topic because
it's just I see you go on for much longer than this on just some fucking obscure point on a game, and then add in a couple of anecdotes about it. So just chill your fucking ass for a minute. I'm just finishing up, and so I sent this into them. Hey, they buy it. And one of the reasons I'm talking about this so much is do that. Say, if you get shit service, somebody fucks up. I think I told the story of the guy that was in front of me at the 15 or less line in the store, and he's got like 25 items, 30 items. He's fucking shopping for for several people, and I got like 6 items. Person behind me has a couple. Person behind, and so when the gal started to check them out, I said, wait a minute, hold it. And I looked at the guy and I said, did you go to school? What does that sign fucking say? And he said 15 items left. I said, does that look like 15 items on you right there in front of you? No, well, yeah. And I said, it's not. And I said, this is less than 15 items. And I said, you're checking me out first before you check him out to the gal. I said, I'm sorry, I know you're, this is embarrassing. It's tough for you to deal with. If you'd like, call your manager over. I'll explain this to him. And I'll find out why the fuck I gotta be in the express lane behind some fucking asshole. And so I got my order. She put my order through right
Yeah.
there. And this other guy, he's a young guy, he's, kind of well built, but I don't give a shit. I mean, everybody responds the same way to a kick in the balls, a kick in the knee, and a kick in the face. And I wear my boots, so I don't care.
Yeah.
And and then I turned around to this Mexican lady behind me. I said, "Come on, bring your stuff up here." And she doesn't want to start any shit, or anything.
Okay.
I said, do it. And I waved through about 6 people. I stood there and waved them all through. And I said, "Okay, you can have your turn now." And then I walked out of the store.
All right.
And,
When was this? This was like last month, right?
yeah, I was gonna say this ain't ancient history. This is
Yeah.
about a month ago.
Okay. Well, I gotta get back to the video, right? It is.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to get that in.
All right.
And cook a minute. Cause,
Okay.
it just got a little boost here.
All right.
Yeah, so it's nodding. So.
All right. Sounds good. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right.
I'll see you later.
Yes.
Are you-
Yeah, I'll be coming over later.
All righty.
All right. Yo. Bye.
Talk to you later. Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
I'll probably call in again maybe later.
Okay. Great.
You can look forward to that.
Yeah. Yo. Bye.
Yo. Bye bye.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there it is. And no, he's done that so many times. I'm very conflict adverse. Like I am like hyper conflict adverse. And so anything like that is like just completely like I just do not deal with it at all. Yeah, it's what I mean. Anyway, we'll get back to it, okay?
Circumstances, it can take 6 to 9 months just to have your retirement paperwork processed. And they often get the calculations wrong.
Right.
So we're like, well, why would it take so long to retire? And they're like, well, because of the mine. And we're like, what do you mean a mine? What's a mine got to do with retiring? And that's where we discovered the...
See, this is the thing, right? This is always, you know what this is like? This is like video games where it's like, oh, well, we can't let people, you have to farm out this item in order to get this energy thing, in order to get this other item. Well, have you ever considered that maybe you can just give people the item directly and not have to have this secondary system? And so this is the problem, is that these people are so captured by this like bureaucratic fucking weight. And it's the same thing. Like think about it in video games. It's in companies. It's in the government. It's everywhere. And so this is what happens with everything. Like loading the stashes. Yes, exactly. Think about it in Diablo 4. This is exactly it. They have to render everybody's inventory. No, you don't. You don't have to do that. So the big problem that a lot of these people have is that the focus they have is on this ridiculous shit. They're not even thinking about it from the right perspective.
All the retirement stuff is still done by paper in a process that looks identical to what occurred in the 1950s.
Yeah,
Like
we can't do more retirement processing because there's a mine that we put all the information into, and we can only, like, what do you, like, this is like a gotcha game. Well, we created this problem, and so now it has to be like this.
Take a snapshot of the mine when it first started in the 50s to today, it looks the same.
It's amazing. So how long do you think it'll take to turn over?
We're working as fast as we can. Probably next couple of months we'll have this overhauled. And I really think again, why are we subjecting our federal workers to processes that they actually have to go through a training just to retire from the government? There's a whole training program that people have to go through in order to retire. I think we can do better for them.
This is the work of a council of Karens. And everybody knows it. This is what it is. It's a bunch of people, and their job is to ensure that they continue having their job. That's it. What the fuck are they training for? I don't know. This is it. It's crazy. The government jobs are trained to retire. This is outrageous. Were they trained him? I'm so confused. Probably how to figure out all the paperwork. Probably.
Moganasi, Doge engineer. You go into these places, one of the more than a dozen engineers, first people to go into the agencies and view the computer data sets. Tell me what you're finding, and for people who don't understand how that process works, explain it for them.
Yeah. I'll say the first thing that got me really excited about Doge was learning basically the state of government computers. By some
Don't tell me that it's on XP. Don't tell me it's on Windows XP.
Its government IT costs about $100 billion, and it's funding systems that are over 50 years old.
Bro, XP is like, that's new. That's new.
The case of something like Social Security or the IRS. So really critical systems are old. They cost a lot of money to maintain, and they can be, the efforts to improve them are often very delayed. So I thought I'm a software engineer that maybe could make a difference here, and that's really what inspired me at a high level.
So he got inspired because of how stupid it was. I could see that.
About Social Security and a lot of words about it from
because I bet there's a lot of guys that it's like you have the chance to finally fix this massive existential problem. I bet they have so many people that are probably signing up to do this basically for free. They're like, finally somebody's gonna do something about this, and I've got to tell you, I think that's pretty fucking patriotic. It is.
Democrats have been saying about it.
It's absurd that Elon Musk is trying to eliminate billions of dollars from Social Security.
Elon Musk and President Trump have set their sights on cutting Social Security.
Their goal is clear. Destroy Social Security from within.
You're in the building. I mean, you're in the computers. What's happening there? What are you doing?
Yeah, it doesn't line up with my experience on the ground, and
it's bullshit. The reason why they're saying that, it's the same as like, do you remember when Trump said he's going to cut the Department of Education funding, but they're not going to cut support for people with special needs? And then all of the people on Twitter and like other places were saying, I can't believe Trump wants the special needs students to die. It's like, you didn't even listen. You didn't even pay attention. They don't think, yeah, they're just lying, bro.
I'll say the two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protecting them from fraud.
They're still saying that? Yeah.
That they experience every day.
It's all hyperbole and lies. Exactly. And once you understand that their entire messaging, like their entire messaging system is just like, let's exaggerate and misrepresent something in an intellectually dishonest way and hope the stupid people that watch us believe it. That's the entire strategy. That's it. That's what they do.
Team basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information.
Yeah.
So when you want to change your bank account, you can
Let me guess. Now there's going to be an online system that you can do it instead, and that way you don't have to call them.
Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change
social engineering
where money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then
oh, do not redeem.
And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security, it's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of Doge, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of Doge, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
So what he's saying is that Doge is going to cut Social Security for old people and it's going to let them die. That's pretty fucked up. Wow. Can you believe that? Jesus. That's horrible.
And let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
So, Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts.
Democracy dies in darkness. Man.
Freaked people out.
We got to get these theater kids off the fucking internet, man. We have to take, like, if you're a theater kid, you have to work at the like a salt mine or something like that for like 3 years. You know, you got to work in a coal mine for a while.
Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah. I mean, but is it a result of going in there or something you're doing?
No. The amount of issues that were with the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yes. Correct.
15 million.
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least.
Oh, God. Wow. Who made this problem? I wonder.
From an IG report. So there were some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this, 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20
so they tried to fix it, but they...
million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so one of the things the Doge team is doing is carefully and very methodically.
And also, by the way, if 40% of their calls are fraud calls, 40% of the calls wouldn't be fraud calls if these people weren't getting paid out. Just think about this for a few seconds here, right? Like, if you've got all of these people spamming this, there's a reason for it. That makes sense. Yeah, of course.
Luckily, looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Brad Smith, working at HHS, and obviously another element is Medicare and Medicaid, NIH.
Oh, they're going to cut that.
What do you find?
And they're going to kill all the old people.
Well, I'd say there's a couple of things we're really committed to in our work at HHS.
Yeah.
Number one, making sure we continue to have the best biomedical research in the world. And number two, making sure, which President Trump has said over and over again, that we 100% protect Medicare and Medicaid.
So they're going to cut Medicare and Medicaid. They're going to get rid of it. That way old people die.
A lot of opportunity. So if I take NIH
and poor
as an
people
example,
die.
Today, if you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that.
What?
NIH is an example. Today, if you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that. The policy that we're proposing to make is that you get to spend 85 of that and your university spends 15. So that's more money going directly to the scientists who are discovering new cures.
Seems good. Yeah.
Another example at NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body system. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
What?
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems. They can't speak to each other.
So they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about
These people are making the Bible real. They're rebuilding the Tower of Babel. Mac versus PC times 27. Well, this is why, guys, this is why we have the mine. Is because all the paperwork is in the mine and we can go there for sure. Do you see kind of how these problems, like, it's basically like you have a house of cards and they hold each other up, but none of these cards should fucking be there in the first place. I'm being sarcastic. This makes sense. Oh, I'm sure.
Making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
Oh my God.
When I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers
So the problem is that nobody at the government knew how computers worked. I knew it.
Talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't stay online, people won't receive their Social Security.
Yeah.
So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are preventing people from preventing research from happening, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
And does that include AI? Does that include kind of changing the system overall? That's, I guess, what people are afraid of, is they don't know.
They're afraid of AI because there's some fucking retard that told them that AI is scary. Oh my God, they're gonna have AI, and then the AI machine is gonna say it's gonna be like Terminator, and it says, you know, please report to the local hospital to be exterminated at, you know, 0600 tomorrow morning. Like, what is that? How does anybody buy this? There are dozens of movies. It's a reasonable fear. Yeah. Here we go. This is good. My first job was at the DMV as a software engineer. My boss, who was a development team lead, never wrote a line of code in his life. He had an MBA in information systems and about as much technical knowledge as my 8-year-old son. Yep.
What this is all looking like, and is it going to affect me in the long term?
It's going to affect them. It's going to affect people very positively. So the changes that we're doing here will ensure the solvency of the American government, of the United States of America. This is what we're trying to do, is ensure that people do receive their benefits in the future, and you can only receive your benefits if the country is operating in a healthy and competent way.
Up next, how the Doge team plans to streamline some federal jobs and agencies, and later, Elon Musk answers some of your questions that you asked.
Oh boy, the Q&A.
Anthony Armstrong, Doge, Office of Personnel Management, Morgan Stanley banker, M&A guy. Yeah. You know, money, and this is a lot of money sloshing around.
There's a lot of money sloshing around. There's a lot of money sloshing out the door. And if you look at the federal government and the way the workforce works, it's really a one-way ratchet over decades.
It's only going up.
It's only going up. You never take it away. So that leaves you with duplicative functions, it leaves you with overstaffing, and it leaves you with...
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, people says MBAs don't teach you IT. Whenever I was in college for business, like, we had to learn process analysis, like systems, and it would reverse engineer code that you would have to use in order to optimize systems. But like, that was in like 2014 or 2014. So like, now they have that a little bit, but I don't know if they had that back then.
Functions in the wrong places. So a couple of examples.
Outdated, yeah.
Duplicative functions. Brad mentioned
now they have DEI.
CIOs. If you kept going with Brad, he would talk about the communications office. I think you've got 40 distinct communications offices in HHS, right? Yeah.
40?
Yeah, and that's not unusual.
Wait, what?
He would talk about the communications office. I think you've got 40 distinct communications offices. So
there's 40 communications offices? Huh. I'm sure we need all of those.
HHS, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
not unusual, by the way. Multiple offices like
So
that.
it's not making anyone healthy.
This is not about the employees. There's
Yeah.
many hardworking, well-meaning people who took these jobs. These jobs were out there. They applied for them. They took them. They're doing what's there. It's just that they're duplicating the effort of 40 offices. So you've got that. You've got overstaffing. A good example of overstaffing would be the IRS has got 1,400 people who are dedicated.
I'll tell you right now, like, we got paid to do fucking nothing half the time. They would even say, you're getting paid to do nothing. Just sit there. I'm like, but I don't have to leave till 3 more hours. They said, okay. What do you want to watch? Want to watch Lord of the Rings? Go to the break room, just watch TV. Okay. Great. Yeah. Easy money.
To provisioning laptops and cell phones. So if you join the IRS, you get a laptop and a cell phone, you're provisioned. So if each of those IRS officers or employees provisioned 2 employees per day, you could provision the entire IRS in a little more than a month. So 12 times a year,
It
you
doesn't
can
make any sense. Why would you have 1,400 people whose only job it is to give out a laptop and a phone?
Right. The whole IRS could be handled.
Wait. What?
Laptop and a cell phone, you're provisioned. So IRS has got 1,400 people who are dedicated to provisioning laptops and cell phones. So
there's 1,400 people. I thought it said 1,400 people that were getting them. There's 1,400 people. It's their job to manage laptops and cell phones. Just to give them to people?
You join the IRS, you get a laptop and a cell phone, you're provisioned. So if each of those IRS officers or employees provisioned 2 employees per day, you could provision the entire IRS in a little more than a month. So 12 times a year,
It
you
doesn't
can
make any sense. Why would you have 1,400 people whose only job it is to give out a laptop and a phone?
Right. The whole IRS could be handled once a month. So that doesn't make any sense. And President Trump's been very clear. It's scalpel, not hatchet, and that's the way it's getting done. And then once those decisions are made, there's a very heavy focus on being generous, being caring, being compassionate, and treating everyone with dignity and respect. And if you look at how people have started
does this
to leave
even
the government,
happen?
it is largely through voluntary means. There's voluntary early retirement, there's voluntary separation payments. We put in place deferred resignation, the 8-month severance program. So there's a very heavy bias towards programs that are long dated, that are generous, that allow people to exit and go and get a new job in the private sector.
Yeah.
And you've heard a lot of news about rifts, about people getting fired. At this moment in time, less than 0.15, not 1.5, less than 0.15 of the federal workforce has actually been given a RIF notice. So
they're selected.
So that's like, yeah, that's like 1 in like every 750 people or something like that.
If they're
Yeah.
less.
It is
Basically, almost no one's gotten fired.
850.
Tom Krause, working at Treasury.
That's a lot.
You are having access to the payment system, oversees all the outgoing payments. Essentially, those payments were going places we didn't know where they were going, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case, Brett. You know, as an ex-CFO of a big public tech company, really what we're doing is we're applying public company standards to the federal government. And it is alarming how the financial operations and financial management is set up today. There is actually really only one bank account that's used to disperse all monies that go out of the federal government.
Time out. One bank account.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. A couple weeks ago, it had $800 billion in it, but it's the Treasury General account. So when you...
What?
$800 billion in it, but it's the Treasury...
So there's just an account that has $800 billion in it? I'd
the Treasury General account. So when you hear, you know, some of my colleagues here, what they're talking about in terms of the fraud, you have to ask, well, why is this allowed to happen at a financial level? Well, it's actually quite simple but alarming. The Treasury, up until now, and thanks to President Trump, we're fixing this. In fact, there was an executive order that he just signed the other day, which is protecting America's bank account, because it really is the taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
You know, and we're changing the culture. The culture is been
being fat, eating Cheetos, not working, and complaining. Yeah, that's about right. You got to change that.
not a lot of caring and not a lot of commitment to doing what's right.
That's what I
relative
said.
to financial operations.
Yep.
There's a $500 billion of fraud every year. There's hundreds of billion dollars of improper payments, and we can't pass an audit. The consolidated financial report is produced by Treasury, and we cannot pass an audit. We have material weaknesses. What that means is that if I was a public company
They
CFO,
can't figure out where the money. How is this possible? There's a lot of ways. Think of it as the convergence of the worst part of like 5 different things put together.
I would effectively be removed. I couldn't file financial statements. I couldn't issue securities, which of course we depend on. Can't pass an audit.
Right. The federal government cannot pass an audit. It's impossible. In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes. You need to have the.
And this is the thing: is you don't have any of the information because some of it's in a mine, the other one is on a Mac, the other one's on a PC. There's 4 other languages. Probably some of it's on COBOL, and then you have to put all of it together. And then there's this one account where there's a lot of money. Yeah, this is it's on Windows ME, and this one's running on Linux, and so. This is the thing: is that people like this. You know this. How many of you guys ever had have been part of an organization that has a accountability abstraction mechanism that makes it to where nobody can ever really truly be at fault? So like there's never a point where a person makes a mistake. There's just a collective error that never really gets addressed, right? Yeah, we've all seen this happen, right? Yeah, sadly I've never been in one. Good. And yeah, boomers don't understand the words you just mentioned. Well, they do in practice. It's nuts, man. It runs on Opinium too. Yeah, diffusing responsibility. Exactly. People are terrified of personal accountability. And so they create these systems to protect themselves.
Explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand why that payment was made. None of those things were mandatory. Until just recently, just a few weeks ago.
So you didn't even have to explain.
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies, and up until very recently, effectively they could say make the payment, and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children. It's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
Up next, the Doge team targets government contracts, and we'll show you what they're finding.
Man.
Tyler Hassan, Interior Department.
Why didn't they send me $1 million? Because you're not related to somebody that works at the federal government, apparently, right? I don't know. This is insane. I can't believe this is all happening right now in our lifetime. I can. Anybody who's ever worked at a big company or at the government knows that this is, if you have, it's probably worse than what they're saying. That's the truth. Like, it's probably even worse than what's being said here.
You're a former oil company CEO. You're reviewing contracts before they're approved for funding. What are you finding?
Well, Elon and Steve kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but I actually found that customer service survey contract. I actually have an example of one right here. I could have done this in high school. And
so this right here, this gentleman, this right here was $880 million. Is that right? $800 million? It was, damn, that's crazy. Wow.
Is that right? I found it. That bad? I found it on the weekends because under the Biden administration,
800 billion? No, it was almost 1 billion. It was 800 million.
No departmental oversight within the Department of Interior
you can go back
whatsoever.
And watch it.
None. We are now reviewing every single contract, every single